Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Happy Wednesday, I think it is. I'm not sure. It's the 31st. I will be completely honest. I have not even done my cards for the Great American Stash Bash. They're right here beside me, but I just haven't felt motivated to craft, and we're going to talk about that. I did get another gift today from the Facebook group Gifting Sisters, and I have never been so excited to receive scissors, you guys. This one pair of scissors is what I have been using since Mickey and I got together. And when I say using, I mean these have trimmed Bella's hairs, these have been used in the kitchen, these have been it. So I'm going to retire these scissors now and put them in the kitchen. And I have pretty scissors now for the craft room. So these are from my friend Tara, and we call her Tutor Sue. Yes, you heard that right. Her name is Tutor Sue. And I met her several years ago when I joined a nonprofit group called the Modified Dolls. And the premise of the Modified Dolls, they're a nationwide nonprofit. And each state has their own chapter. Georgia disbanded because of a lack of interest, unfortunately. But the premise was that we brought awareness to charity work as modified women, meaning women who were heavily tattooed or heavily pierced, trying to get rid of that stigma that tattooed and pierced females or funky colored hair, that's a bad thing. So it was a wonderful, wonderful group. I met tons of lovely ladies through my time with them, worked my way up in the ranks to vice president. And unfortunately, we disbanded. Tara, Tutor Sue, is actually a small business owner, and her business is called Creative Organics. She is on Facebook under Creative Organics. I believe she's on YouTube also. But you guys, she is extremely, extremely at risk, as so many of my friends are, so many of my family members are. She is a dialysis patient, and she is considered terminal. She's on the waiting list for her second kidney transplant. And through it all, she's a small business owner, and she makes beautiful handmade bath products. She makes bath bombs, beard oil, she makes hand sanitizer, she makes lip balm, scrubs, bath fizzers, shower fizzers, candles, and she has a storefront, but of course that's closed right now. She is accepting online orders. If anybody out there is looking for hand sanitizer, she does make it, and she can ship to you. Her business is Creative Organics, and I will make sure of that .com or .org. I'm not sure which it is, but either way, I will link it below, and if anybody wants to support her, I know she would be grateful. But I also wanted to bring some awareness, or I don't know. I'm a huge proponent of talk therapy, and that's part of the reason why I am on YouTube, and that's why I craft as my therapy, as it is with lots of people. Right now, more than ever, we have people who are being forced to quarantine and who are being forced to isolate. And for a lot of those people with mental health issues, unfortunately, that is a bad combination. So I encourage you, if you have a loved one who has any sort of mental health issue, check on them often. You know, this is a really, really bad time, and I don't want to see or hear of any tragedies related to mental health issues during this. For myself, not only have I been sick, but I've kind of been staying away from YouTube just because I didn't want to bring a negative light to YouTube. But it's just, I feel like if I talk about how I'm feeling, then maybe somebody out there who's feeling the same will know that they're not alone, and that someone else shares their feelings. So, with that said, I've talked here on my channel many times that I do have anxiety, manic depression, and I have PTSD. One of the triggers, I guess you could say, is the fact that, yes, I do have a full-time job. I am, quote unquote, the breadwinner. So, although I wanted to be working at home, I was in a position where, I couldn't push the issue too far. It wasn't being allowed to be pushed. And the decision to work from home, unfortunately, caused several people to lose their jobs at my company. People were laid off or furloughed even as of Friday. And their production was used as that basis. So there's not a whole lot I can say. I can't afford to lose my job. And so that is why I'm kind of feeling under pressure, or I guess it is the anxiety. I feel anxious. I feel worried a lot. Not only because, I'm concerned about the people that I love staying healthy, but the whole panic buying really set me off. The fact that I was seeing empty shelves, I stayed away from the store the first week and a half because I didn't want to see it personally. So when I went to Walmart, yes, it was prevalent, but it was not as bad as it had been because I went right after they had restocked, so I didn't have to see firsthand some of the things that others have seen. And I have literally not panic bought anything. We are basically just getting our normal groceries, and I just adapt to whatever they have. So I'm usually a really frugal shopper. I don't buy a lot of snacks. I don't buy a lot of things to have. Like, on a typical day here, there aren't many meals for breakfast and lunch. I mainly make sure that we buy dinner food. So with this pandemic, there are things in the store that I would normally be buying, but you can't get it right now, like ground beef, for instance. I would buy that for spaghetti or Hamburger Helper or whatever. Well, right now, there's no ground beef, so I'm getting a steak instead, which is more money. So we're spending more money trying to adapt to what they actually have in the store. And then my fears are that as my hours potentially get cut even more, I'm only working 30 hours a week now. My husband is still working both of his jobs. He's an essential worker. So there are those fears that, not that this has happened, please, we're okay. We have food and the money, I'm making money. But where my mind goes is that this money isn't promised. This money could go away. My income could go away. And then the fact that we could potentially not have food in the house is a huge, constant trigger of mine. Mickey and I both grew up quite poor. We always had enough, but we never had anything extra, if that makes any sense. So we're used to having sandwich night. That's not the issue. But when I was a single mom and I would have to ration food just so Obi ate, I would go without eating. And it was always on me in the back of my mind to make sure I had food in the house. If I didn't have food in the house, that sent me into panic mode. And so that's where, even though we're not at that point, we're not, anywhere near that point, that is where my anxiety and my PTSD take me. And I know I'm not the only one. The only thing that ever got me through those times was waking up every day. Number one, being grateful that I was allowed to wake up that day. And number two, there's always somebody out there who has it worse than me. So that is how I managed to get through it. And I'm finding this week especially, I'm having to wake up and do those things again because, the bills don't stop. The need for groceries doesn't stop. I think my camera is about to switch over. So let me see if I lose you guys.